This is Books and Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined once again on Zoom with the legendary Ian Gaughran. How are you?
Legendary, Jesus, very much. Thanks, Emil. Yeah, pretty good. We had a good end to the year, so all is well.
I was trying to
Decent,
think of a
decent.
word to say, and I didn't want to be obviously I have different words I use for you on WhatsApp and everything else like that. So I just on the spur of the cuff said legendary. So if
No,
people
no
thinking
four-letter
I'm calling
word.
you legendary, it just comes as a spur of the moment thing. But as you say, sort of a busy weekend, busy end of the year, sort of. Um, Graham Cormack obviously finally got redemption last weekend in Waterford. Were you sort of surprised? Like, I know obviously I spoke to Graham, what was it, a couple of days ago now, I think I spoke to him, and he obviously saying it was his best career win to date. In the build up, he sort of spoke on getting a stoppage. And as we know, Ian, obviously Graham had one stoppage in his pro career, and stoppages weren't a thing. And sort of people were maybe looking at it and going, aye, right, Graham, dead on, you've one stoppage to your name. But were you sort of surprised he was able to stop Craig last weekend?
You know what? And I know he'd said it to you, and he had been saying it the whole time. I'm gonna stop him. I'm knocking this fella out, and all that. And like you were saying when you were talking the other day, look, everybody says that I'm stopping him. He really was extremely confident in the fact that he was going to do that, and he was so relaxed in the dressing room. I was kind of looking at it, going, "Geez, this is bizarre." And he went in for his nervous poo. He always does beforehand, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying so. But he was extremely calm and really, really relaxed. And I was in the change room, going, "Jesus," and he was like, "I'm telling you, stopping this fella." But as you know, if it hadn't have gone well, that was probably it. But and like he before as we were walking out, he said, "Okay, lads, let's enjoy this one last walk." And I was thinking, "Oh, fuck, is this the end now? This is it. This is kind of the end of the Ian and Graham show." Like, because obviously Dylan McDonough was the first, but Graham was the first in the way the stable has taken off, and he's taken us to great places, and we've had such a good run of it, and it was really like, oh, so I was kind of getting emotional, nearly walking out, going, "Fuck, I can't believe this is really the end." But then about, what was it, 2 minutes and 55 seconds in, he had Craig on his arse, and I'm going, "What the hell is going on here?" And they were drilling it and drilling it and drilling it in the change room. I took a few videos beforehand. I think Sean put them up. It was the exact shots that were working, and so I was giddy. I went over then and sat beside Pat Ractigan from round 2 on, because I just wanted to get his take on the scoring as it went. But then he had him down in the second. I was saying to him, and Mel was kind of a few yards over there, and we're all looking at each other going, "When was the last time Graham had this devastating power?" Like, and Craig actually boxed well in the third round. And Pat was kind of nearly saying, "Yeah, might have given that one to Craig." I was kind of the same opinion. Then Graham kind of stepped on it again and got him out. And it was just an incredible buzz. It was an amazing finish to the year. Like, from what was a good year has become probably a great year now because of that win for Graham. And like, he grabbed a hold of me in the ring after, and he was just like, "I fucking love you. I'm telling you, don't tell Lauren, but we're going nowhere. We're not retiring." So I'm saying nothing, you can tell her. So obviously you spoke to him the other day, and we're looking to try get something decent for him to maybe finish up, whether it's a win or a loss, just get him the chance to fight for the Irish title if we can. And yeah, look, I'm, as you can tell, I'm still buzzing off the win from Saturday, because it was incredible.
It's a tough one sometimes, like it's finding the right time sometimes to call it a day. Like Graham, I hope he won't mind me saying, he's 37, he's no spring chicken anymore. And I think I said to him in an interview the other day, it's like, when do you find the right moment? Like Saturday probably could have been the ideal moment for him, going out in a
Yeah.
high. I know his dreams of obviously fighting for an Irish title, and that's his dreams, and if that keeps him motivated, he didn't look bad last week. Like he won very well, but it's finding that right thing. And I guess with you and obviously even with Sean and stuff as well, it's hard conversations to have. Like, you don't want to stop a fighter from continuing on. Like, say you and him have that bromance. He helped you obviously get to the stage you are now with obviously the stable. But like, probably in some ways it was good for you in a way to see him win, because it obviously wouldn't have been nice to obviously in the changing rooms. I remember the last time in Waterford in the changing rooms, it was like a WWE night out. But like, I guess for you, I guess the good thing was where he's saying, right, one more, win or lose, that's it. But it's all well and good in saying that, Ian. If he goes and becomes an Irish champion, he's going,
No,
let's do the European, or but hopefully now he's just saying one more, and then that'll be him.
I think he'd be happy if he was winning our side. I think he'd be happy to just go. We've done it now. We don't need to do anymore. And the next one, if it's for an Irish title, has to be the right opponent. It's not well, he wouldn't fight Jason Hardy because they're in the gym. It's not a Hardy. It's definitely not a Peter Carr. It's not one of these thumpers. And like Peter had said to me before, I'm not putting Graham in with you. As much as I want Peter to fight for an Irish title, but Peter's going to fight Jason anyway. But like, it's not a case of going up to super middleweight and fight Shane McConnell or fighting Peter, or like, it has to be in and around the same level, because as you say, he's no spring chicken. He's 37, and if it's going to be the last one, I'm not putting him in as a lamb to the slaughter, whether it's for a few quid or whatever. That's not on the agenda. So we'll try and find the right person, and try and find the right match, and something that lets him go out, win or lose, with a good performance, and has had his shot, because he's had enough bloody Celtic title shots. He's won it. Doesn't need to go there again. So it's really the one place to go before he finishes up, and that's to try and fight for an Irish title. So that's what we're going to try and do.
They're probably me thinking off the top of my head, and hopefully I'm not sort of spoiling maybe any plans stuff you have, but you maybe looks at the legs at, and I'm not discrediting them here in any way, but obviously you want Graham to have a bigger chance, sort of winning. Obviously, you want him to be in a good competitive fight as well, and I'm probably thinking along the lines of Craig O'Brien, Daniel Sullivan, obviously who are both current Celtic champions. The
Yeah.
problem you have is, could Graham make 154 again? Like, obviously that fight was at 168 the other night. I mean, know what the BUI are like in terms of sanctioned fights as well. So, like, that might not even be a realistic thing for it. The BUI might go, he needs to have a fight at the weight they then fight for it. So
That's what I would imagine would be the scenario, and I can understand that he has, like, he fought Craig at super middle, he fought Gratty somewhere in between, I think. He fought Liddard at middle. So it's been a long time since he has fought at light middle, and they'll need to see that he can actually make light middle before letting him commit to light middle, and then him not being able to make it on scales, and that's fine. So if we do need to do something, we'll do something. We'll get something. Just have a 6 at 154. Make sure he can do it. Make sure he can do it while not affecting his performance as well, because there's no point doing it and you're boxed, you're nothing in the ring. So Craig is a good option. Brilliant boxer, lovely fella, not a concussive puncher. And Graham could actually have a boxing match with him, because Graham doesn't get to show that as much as he should. Not that he doesn't get to, he just doesn't. But he showed it last Saturday that he actually can box. He said to you that they trained smarter, less sparring, wasn't coming into the fight physically drained, came in fresh. Obviously, having that little bit of extra weight helps. And the fact that he knows Craig, and he knew that Craig didn't hurt him the first time at 168, that it was okay. But that's not where his future, his short, long-term future lies, because he straight away after, he's like, I feel too bulky. I'm still too fleshy at 168. It needs to be middle, and I can make light middle. I know I can make light middle. He's got that nutritionist Liam Williams, who's doing brilliant with him. He's taken a week or two off, and he's going to eat rings around himself probably for a week or two, but then he's going to get straight back in, pretty much tick over Christmas, and then get back to eating properly. So if we need to do something in February or March at light middle, we'll do that, and then maybe look for something before the summer, before he rides off into sunset.
I guess obviously, we'll probably look back at the year in total, probably your standout performance of the year, obviously winning 2 belts. Really far, like, who would ever have thought, like, so many people wrote him off in the past. He had like 4 or 5 attempts at sort of trying to get even a fight. And obviously now he's Celtic and Irish champion. Like, he's definitely the star performer for you in 2024.
Yeah, well, who would have thought? We knew we could do it, because he had said from the very start, he said, just look, I promise you, I'm not going to let you down. Get me the opportunities and I'll take them for you. And he did say at the start of the year, I'm going to be a first Irish champion. And the unfortunate part of it was it was Conor in the way if he was to achieve that. And they had a really good fight in March, razor sharp between the two of them, for him to win his Celtic title. And that was a huge achievement for him. But he improved massively again to win the Irish. And like, to be fair, he's he said, I'm going to be your first Irish title. I'm going to, and he's delivered on that. He's been brilliant, and I think the ceiling for him is pretty high because he just improves the whole time. Every fight you saw, even the improvement between from the Jared fight through to the Conor first fight was a nice arc. The improvement from the Conor 1 again to Conor 2 was massive, and he was really, really good. Over 10 rounds, looked comfortable, looked to be still boxing within himself, and just was in control of himself the whole time. And that's a huge thing that's happened for him this year. Since he's had the baby, and he's done a lot of work with Terry, he's grown up as a man, you know, and you're seeing that translate in the ring. You know, he's a much calmer fella now. He knows his worth, and he knows exactly what he wants to be, how he's to do that, and where he can go to. So, like you say, star performer for the year, 2 belts, first Irish champion. He's a phenomenon, and I'm really proud of him.
Well, obviously, I know Rudy obviously put out a post the other day, obviously saying what's next, and like I guess with me, obviously having a bit of knowledge sometimes that I know that at that weight at the moment, there probably only is one option. You know, obviously, Jared Hughes obviously going through medical, obviously, procedures at the moment. Paul Lunan's not available for an Irish title because he's only bought the 6th rounder. So there only is obviously, you know, for him to defend the Irish title, there only is one option, and it's not one of your fighters again.
Yeah. Now, they're both gonna, like, Matty's due to fight in February. He'll have a 6 just to work on a few things because his fight against Callum Turnbull was a 4-week job with Ryan Burnett, and you could see the improvements he made. So again, with a full camp and working with Ryan after the fight, pre-camp, we're going to see those improvements. We're going to get a lot of improvement again in February from Matty, and just get the kind of, not rust, but let him have a bit more of a relaxing time of things, because he's been on such a steep arc progress wise. You know, he took the fight in short notice while he was in camp for another fight. He took the SSE fight in short notice. Really impressed there. Has impressed the whole time. Was good against Jake, and then was very good against Callum. But he immediately after, when he watched it back, he was saying, I know exactly what we need to work on, and Ryan has identified what we need to work on. So they'll work on those things in February. And I think Rudy will probably get out in February as well. And then we'll see what happens after that, because Rudy's obviously had the 3 domestics basically in quick succession, not time-wise because of the layoff between March and November, because there was supposed to be the Hughes fight in between. But they both need to have a calmer water type of fight, and then we'll see what the story is there for the two of them. But they do look to be on a collision course, which is crap from my point of view, because it's not really one that we want to do all the time. Like when it becomes a situation that they dovetail into each other, well, then there's not much you can do about it. But they're both going to fight in February, and we'll see where we go from there. They obviously do look like they're going to be colliding with each other, but you know, there's options for both of them because they've both done so well in the last year. Like Matty's progression has been brilliant. He's actually quite highly ranked on BoxRec, and he's done his 8 rounds, so he is eligible. Obviously, it could be a case of fighting for a Celtic beforehand, and let it build to each other to fight in the same show or whatever it is, and go from there. But like, yeah, it's not where we really want to be with regards to the two of them fighting each other, because somebody has to lose, similar to the bloody Rudy and Conor stuff. So we'll see where it goes, but let's just get through February first for Matty, and we'll look to get Rudy out around the same time, because he needs to get out. He wants to just work on a few more things that aren't fighting for his life, you know.
I guess the one thing is obviously the longer you delay it, obviously it's making sure that they can earn as much as they can from the fight. So obviously, particularly with Rudy, obviously he's maybe going to want one warm-up fight before it's either defending the Irish title or moving on past that, you know. So it's that sort of time limit sometimes you have. Obviously, your other champion, obviously Dave Ryan, obviously he obviously won the Celtic title this year, and you know, strange sort of, you know, look back on it now, you're going, crikey, you know, do you think the wrong decision been given in the ring? The man always being crowned a champion. You know, obviously I know he hasn't been back in the ring since, but you know, three new champions effectively for Ian Gaughran boxing in 2024, and Dave being the third of the 3.
Yeah, we're looking to get Dave out early in the year. I'm just working on a couple of things to see if we can get him out. He's absolutely flying in his training. Like I think he said after the fight he had a bad cut, a bad weight cut because he had gotten very heavy and had been on holidays. He was up at the fight. I was down in Waterford at the fight last week. He's in and around 148, 149 now. He looks lean and fit and almost mean. It's like, Jesus, Dave, you look fucking great. He's like, hey, look, I have abs already. And I said, what are you? He said, I'm only about 4 kilo off like welterweight. I was like, Jesus Christ, you could fight in the morning nearly. He said, yeah. He hasn't stopped working. He feels really sharp. They've been working on a lot of stuff. Sean is really happy with where he is. So trying to get him out early in the year. Just need to get a few bits and bobs sorted. But it's looking quite positive. What we do opponent-wise, not sure yet. Dave's one of those who just wants to get straight in the fight. Dave wouldn't necessarily need to have a warm-up fight. That's the nature of the guy. You know, he's said it enough times, just wants to fight. So if we can get something good for him, 8 or 10 rounds, that would be great. But we're working on a few of this. Just can't really kind of go into it because nothing's finalised. But
I guess I was going to say, I guess obviously Waterford last week was supposed to be him and Sen, and obviously for the Irish title, so you could have potentially had 2 Irish champions in the stable. He's probably in that predicament now where who does he have at 140 to fight for an Irish title? You know, it's because Senan stayed up at 147 and he's obviously going to fight Deco for the Irish, defend his Irish title in February. It's that predicament now where Dave's sort of going, who do you have as eligible for an Irish title at 140?
Yeah, and I know I think they were talking about Matthew Tyndall going down and progressively going down to 140. That could be one that's on the cards. I don't know if it's something that they fancy. But like there's other options. There's a lot of good guys around the weight from say Scotland or whatever that we can go down the British Celtic route if we need to and kind of move into those waters. The 147 division is pretty stacked. 140 not so much. It was kind of Dave and Senan. I don't know which way Matthew's going to lean. I think he's going to fight in the Devonish on February 8th. I don't know if they're looking at going down to 140 or whatever it is for that. Like he's obviously had a title fight when he lost to Senan. They'll probably look at giving him maybe 2 or 3 because he's still very young. But that's one that could potentially be done. I'm not really sure exactly what way they're looking at going, but there's a load of lads, certainly Scottish lads and Welsh lads, in and around the 140 mark, either above it or below it, who've done light welter on occasions, and they're in and around the same kind of records as Dave. So we'll look at that kind of thing if needs be. If he needs to defend the title over 8, or if he steps up to 10 to fight for the British Celtic, but then so be it. But he wants 10 rounds. We all know how good the engine is, so 10 rounds won't be any problem. So we'll figure that out now, hopefully, over the next few days.
I know that obviously Brandon McCarthy, I think potentially maybe in the lead up to Waterford, maybe that was looking at an option of obviously Dave defending the Celtic. And I think Brandon's put a post out since to say Brandon's told me he's not a super lightweight, but obviously if an opportunity comes, that could even be an option there as well. I think Brandon said he'd be happy to fight Dave. I guess the problem is getting the two of them up together. I guess a good thing obviously with Brandon being a pro box fighter would obviously give Dave a big platform as well, depending on where and when they could put the card on.
Yeah, and I know Brandon's probably long-term future, certainly while he's still young, is at lightweight. When he's been weighing in at 137 and 138 and that kind of stuff. I actually spoke to him on Saturday night, and he was kind of just saying, yeah, look, I'm a lightweight, but we'll see what way the opportunities come and fall. I think he's had 3. Has he had 4 now?
4, yeah.
He's done a 6. So I suppose the 8 could be something. Dave does want to do 10. He feels now at this point in his career that the longer the better for him. But yeah, like there are options. So it's all about me trying to get the right. Yeah.
Options are always good. I'm obviously trying to think of obviously some other highlights. You maybe what other highlights probably would you have of the year? I guess you debutants obviously you had Matty out as a debutant. Probably the only disappointing part, obviously, as I say, with Connor, obviously being obviously defeated. You James Freeman, obviously out in Newcastle. Reddy, obviously he's had a couple of fights, and now he's his 3rd fight now in February. like
Yeah.
a lot of movement. Obviously, you probably a lot of, and obviously I know you've new signings and stuff like that. It's going to come out shortly. Like I'm putting you on the spot here as I always do. And how many fighters do you currently have?
Your stuff now. I don't know. It's 25. No, it's not. It's if you include the two, if you include the couple of lads who are on the road, like Allan and Jacob, it's in and around the kind of mid-teens. Um, yeah, like highlights from a from a kind of a new cycle, I suppose. Matty was an undoubted highlight because he's come in. Oh, you have to get the credit for that. For real throwback, he goes in, he kind of, and he's not afraid to go in where he can beat people. Like the Turnbull one, they knew exactly what he needed to do. He's been brilliant, and like he's 4-0 up to 8 rounds, having made his debut in kind of late June. So that's obviously a highlight. Cian is just a gem. He's so good. He's so easy to deal with. He's a great fella. They get on brilliant. You know, another one who does really well tickets wise, but so talented. Like I don't know where his ceiling is. You know, I'm in absolutely no rush with Cian. You know, he's with Wayne and Arias, and everything is planned down to a T. You know, he had two different type of fights: the Derby fight and the Helm fight, two completely different style of fighters. Derby's a real nice boxer. Helm is a real rugged type, throws a big overhand. So he's had different looks as to what it is. He's still very young. He's going to have a little bit of a kind of progressive type again in February over in Bradford on Wayne's show, and then we'll have him probably out again in April, up to 6 maybe for that. But no rush because the backing he has, the tickets he does, it's not one of those that we're looking at just throwing him straight in. Similar to Matty, Matty has been thrown straight in, but there's no mad panic in throwing him straight in either because his ceiling is so high and he's proven that. But like, Cian was so good as an amateur, works really hard, develops all the time. You know, he could easily be European level, and there's no panic. So the two of those guys from coming in and making debuts point of view, they're like obviously undoubted highlights. James had a bit of a stop-start year, but did get out, and I'm hoping to get him out early in the year as well. That's kind of in the works as well. Similar time to Dave, and we know what he brings. He's a brilliant fella, so easy to deal with, well backed, great tickets. They make huge noise, and I'm hoping that he's going to have a much busier time of it this year, 4 to 5 fights, and something like a Celtic at the end of the year. So, you know, from those three's point of view, it's all still very positive. Myles had a bit of a kind of a funny year. He went in on his debut and got beaten after he got a horrible cut right in the middle of his eye, and blood was coming down, and it was probably a little bit of a kind of what the hell's going on here. Didn't get the decision, came back and had a good win, and then had nearly a fight of the year type of thing against Kane Singh in the stadium when he got a draw, probably just boxed the wrong fight. But I said to him, like, you boxed beautifully in round 4 when you just stayed on the back foot and actually used your boxing. What was it? You know, I just, similar to Graham, I like getting into a bit of a, stop liking getting into a bit of a thing. But yeah, I'd look to get Myles out kind of February time, do another 6-rounder, get a win, and we'll look at something for him then. He's happy enough to start going into the domestics. He just really wanted to have a fight that wasn't, he wanted to have a fight before he went into a domestic at Super Bantam, because the fight against Ken, I think, was about Super Feather. Man weight was coming in about 130. Time before that was heavy. He just needs to be actually at his weight, have a fight at the weight, and then we'll look at whatever it is domestically for him. You know, so
I was going to say, I just want to apologise. I was at the start of that segment when you'll be watching the back end, you'll sound like a race car. I think your signal just went a wee bit there, so the
right,
screen
okay.
froze for a couple of seconds. I thought I'd lost you completely, and then it tried to play catch up, so you sounded like a Formula One car. But obviously, it was just a problem with the signal. It's not you speaking very fast. It's just a problem with the signal somewhere. I guess probably, what can we say? Obviously, we lost one, obviously, this year. Obviously, Jamie Morrissey retired, like two-time, two-weight Celtic champion sort of came as a surprise to me. Normally, sometimes, Ian, you would give me a wee heads up somewhere. I probably just got the news from Jamie, and I was probably nearly at a tear in my eye for a moment because me and Jamie's got on very well. He's a gentle giant, and it probably hurt him. They probably put the post up, but probably sad for you in a way because like Jamie,
Oh,
like no amateur experience in boxing, was kickboxing and Muay Thai and everything else, and just came in and sort of rewrote the script, sort of, and have gloves, will travel, will fight anybody, and that's what he done.
him and Graham the same. Jamie did it. You look at Graham's record. Graham's, I think, has had 6 domestics between Ireland and Scotland since we've been together, plus the George Liddard fight. The two of them just go, you know what, fight's a fight. But yeah, Jamie obviously had hurt the hand in the build up to what was supposed to be the Liam O'Hare fight, and it was pretty bad. He had an awful lot on, and he rang me one evening and he was like, I'm thinking of calling it a day, and don't know if I'm enjoying it as much as I was. I don't know if I'm actually even up to going in and sparring, and the love for it isn't there. And I was kind of saying, look, I'm not going to try and talk you out of this, because it's something I would never ever do, is to try and talk somebody out of retirement if they're not feeling it, because we're not playing soccer, we're not playing tennis or whatever it is. This isn't the sport. If you're not there, you nearly look at what happened to Sonny Edwards. He didn't want to be there, and there was no way that I was letting Jamie go into any sort of situation like that if he didn't want to be in there. I probably would have liked if he hadn't have just announced it as a retirement and just taken a step back, and I'm not hanging them up. But I saw him in Waterford. Geez, he looked great in Waterford. I look at him going, you look refreshed, you look well, he looks big, he looks strong, but hasn't put any weight on, still looks like fantastic. And I was kind of just giving him the hand a little scratch to see where the itchy. But I look, Jamie's a great fella. He's doing an awful lot of really good work down there, outside of boxing, down in Limerick. And he's to be massively commended for that, as well as everything else that he's brought to Irish boxing. Because, like you say, he rewrote the script, and he's actually been one of the guys who's changed the face of domestic Irish boxing. 2-weight Celtic champion, took chances, had 2 absolute wars with Kevin Cronin, went in with Emma Brennan on the Katie Taylor undercard. Everything that he's done has been brilliant. So I would love to have him back, but only if it's Jamie who wants to be back. He's young enough. It's not like he's mid-30s. It's not like he's one of the old brigade. He's young and fresh. And if a bit of time away does get that hunger back and that freshness back, well then bloody fantastic. If not, he's been a fucking terrific ambassador and a pleasure to deal with, and he's such a good guy. And it was brilliant to see him on Saturday, and hopefully we'll see him back in something different.
Definitely, I would say, I know hopefully over time, and I'm sure he'll be sending us both a message when he's watching this back. One, thanks for the kind words, but it's just been totally honest, the gentleman that he has. I think we've sort of maybe covered everybody of the stable. Am I right? Have we missed anybody? I don't want somebody sending me a message saying, what about me? You forgot about me. You've had many fighters, Ian, it's hard to keep up with.
No, we haven't actually spoken too much about Conor, because we touched on him with the Rudy stuff, but he really wasn't well for the first fight and couldn't go through the gears, and obviously he was beaten quite well, certainly on the cards. One of the cards that was way off, but Rudy was a deserved winner of the second fight. Conor's future probably lies at Feder. We'll see how things go, but he'll have a fight at Feder probably in the springtime. He's taking a break. He's gone away on holidays with missus over Christmas and all that, so he'll come back nice and fresh. And I know, like the lads, and I think Matty had said before, when he sparred with Conor and Conor was up a little bit heavier, that when he spars, when he's a little bit heavier, there's plenty of power in the punches, but when he spars, when he's lighter, it's not there as much. And Conor said he feels it in the legs, just he's just that little bit drained, and it's not like he's a big fella and he's taking a load off. It's just his body composition that maybe he's just better suited to featherweight. So we'll have a fairly kind 6-round fight, maybe at feather, see how he feels, and then we'll look at it. Could be two. You know, he's had 2 domestics and 2 defeats. Like he went quickly to get there, and it's kind of stopped and stalled him. But we'll probably have 1 or 2 6-round jobs at home as the home fighter, not in the domestic. See how he feels, then we'll go looking for something again. You know, obviously we've got a couple of new lads as well, Fionntan, Loughlin, and Tomas McCann. Tomas is only just signed.
Another one as well. I just remembered Cathal Jenkins, the madman, the one-liner.
He's crazy. He's such a good fella. He's brilliant. You know, he's really easy to deal with as well. The 3 of them are, and Cahill's obviously probably, aside from Allan, as a home fighter from Newry, he's well supported. I think he's going to do good tickets for his debut in the Devonish, and he's great. He's in a brilliant position that he's not really tied to Belfast, because Newry is that little bit, it's only an hour and a quarter kind of each side, so they can come down to Dublin on a quick spin down, or they can go up to Belfast for a quick spin up. So he'll probably just mix a match between, you know, the likes of Matty. You wouldn't be bringing all the way down from Gaughran to Dublin. It's what, 3.25 hours.
Let me see. So it's about 2 hours from me. So it's another hour and 20 minutes on. So it's over 3 hours.
Yeah. You wouldn't be having him down in Waterford, like it's a 5-hour trip. So he's at the very top. But Cahill's in that nice little position that he can actually flitter between the 2 of them. So he's a bit of a throwback. I know his dad was a bit of a street fighter and all that. And him and Allan actually would have come up through the same club, and they would be telling me about these spars. They didn't spar. They went hammer and tongs at each other. And Allan was saying, like, Cahill's a great lad, and he's going to be exciting. He likes to throw. Probably a bit of a Shane McConnell type, you know, have gloves, will bang. So let's. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to seeing the crowd, because he's raw and he's a bit obviously, but him and Dan are gelling really well together. Like, obviously, I've had people with Dan. Dan's a great fella. Talk all the time. We're always on the same page as to which way we want to go, and he's always keeping me updated as to how the lads are going. And he's really happy with the progression that Cahill's making week on week. So really looking forward to his debut, as well as the 2 boys. Need to get Tomas's debut date sorted out. Fionntan's going to be definitely on the show in the Devonish. But they're both supremely talented as well. Like, they both won Antrims and Ulsters and boxed in the high performance. Like, people around the place would tell me what Tomas is like. He's a really slick, really game, a spiteful puncher, like a horrible bastard in the ring, which is just music to everybody's ears. You know, and it's like you talk to him and you wouldn't know, because he's such a nice fella. But then, like, he's a killer inside the ropes. So the two of them are progressing lovely towards, like, obviously Tomas is just after signing, he got his medical sorted out. He did a spar for the BUI. David Irvine did a referee the spar and recommended to Mel that, yeah, this fella's well good enough to become a pro. So looking forward to the 3 of them. And there's a couple of other little things in the works that we might see what the story is over the course of, from a turning over point of view. But, like, obviously the stable is big, and it's not a case that we're going hunting people. If the right fit comes and they're talented enough and hard working enough is the most important thing, especially when it's such a thriving scene at the moment, that you got to stay ready and stay on top. You look at what Matty's done, stays ready 4 fights in the course of 4 months, and look where he is. He's already into contention. So it's about finding the right fits and talking to the lads. And, you know, as I've said, I've done it how many times, it's about finding that bit of a relationship with them, to know that we'd be fine to work together, and that they all have the right teams around them, you know. So I'm looking forward to what's going to be another, hopefully, very exciting year. You know, Rudy's already got his Irish title. Dave's got his Celtic title. There's a load of lads who can get to more title level as we go through the year. And the likes of Allan and Jacob. Allan's been a breath of fresh air on the kind of roadman scene. Jacob Maher is another who's had 4 or 5 fights since October, just gone under the radar, but just a pleasure to work with. Everybody he's fought in the UK, all of the matchmakers and all the promoters are just, they think he's a dream. You know, he comes in, he gives lads good tests, gets in, gets out, gets paid. You know, he's doing really well for himself off the back of a nice decision to turn over. So, like, it's not just about the prospects as well. It's about the lads who want to fight in the away corner and earn a few quid to be able to actually pay the bills and all that. And you know, a lot of the time, these lads, like Jacob's had 5 fights, I think, since October. Probably earn more money than any other bloody fighter in Ireland, bar the big boys. You know, by getting in, getting out, not getting hurt, and getting ass backed. So it's 25 is going to be another really exciting year. I'm hoping that this time next year we're doing our kind of traditional end of year wrap. There's more titles, there's more progression, and there's more fighters. And you know, I think you said to me the other day, you might want to start to look into put so many lads up the north and so many lads on the books, start looking at putting on a show. It's something that I would hope to do maybe at some stage in 2025.